gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Face in your face. Face in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negro. And for the benefit of those who are not, who have not never seen the channel before or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why is called Common Sense and Logical Solutions. But not everyone uses logic. For that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have another YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora, where I discuss issues pertaining to Latinos in the United States. The link to that channel is in the description. And I see we only have Don Armando in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. And of course, he has his own channel. So I'm going to ask that you show some love and support and check out his content and subscribe. We're currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And also the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 10 minutes. Meaning, if you are not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you must be a subscriber for at least 10 minutes. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who are already subscribed to the channel. Whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined, I really appreciate your love and continued support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notifications to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on a playback. So tonight we're having another episode of Open Discussion. For those of you who are not familiar, what occurs is the following. I will share my views regarding several topics. Of course, you, the audience, will have an opportunity to opine regarding those topics. Also, if you have any topics that you would like me to discuss, I will do my best to comply. However, if it's something that I don't have a great deal of knowledge about, I will be transparent and admit so. And truthfully, there's some topics that I prefer not to engage because some people just don't know how to have a conversation without getting emotional, without getting defensive and things of that nature. So first of all, let me just share with you what next week's schedule is going to be like. I will not be doing a live on my other channel. I might do some shorts. Okay. So basically, I'll be live Sunday and then Monday or Tuesday. I'll make a decision about that on Sunday. Thursday, and then of course on Friday, I will share my Good Friday message. Usually meant to be a short message with just to serve as a reminder regarding God's love and what was shown and what was done in order for us to be in good relationship with God. Now, the first thing we'll talk about is, of course, it is the beginning of baseball season. Okay. And of course, um, it's the time of year when everyone who roots for their favorite baseball team is hoping and some are praying that they do well and then they actually make the playoffs or even win the World Series. Um, every year is always some pleasant um, surprises and some disappointments. So it kind of mirrors life in a way. Its life is full of pleasant surprises and disappointments. The key is how to deal with those disappointments. Because disappointments will come for many reasons. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is the situation with the partial government shutdown. Okay. Unfortunately, what has happened is that thousands of TSA personnel have not received the salary. Okay. And of course, some of them decided not to work because they were not getting paid, which as a result has affected travel for thousands of passengers. Lines have become longer, flights have become delayed, flights have gotten canceled. So what they do is the current administration decided to have these ICE agents um, placed in many of the busiest airports, all to try to improve airline security. The problem is that many of them do not have any training with not any of the devices that the TSA agents use. So what's happened is you have some ICE agents basically hanging out in the airports and trying to make sure that everyone is safe to actually threaten passengers, and all because the government does not want to put any limits on these ICE agents, does not want them to be under civilian control. Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is, any organization um, that operates, with the authority to use weapons as necessary needs civilian control, because without it, they will have serious consequences. Basically, harass Americans, harass law-abiding citizens, and lead to other consequences. Hopefully, the impasse will end soon, so the TSA agents um, can get pay and do their jobs. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, is the concept of change. Change occurs all the time. Sometimes the change is welcome. Other times the change is not welcome. It does not take away the fact that change does occur. Sometimes we never understand the reason why. And sometimes we can complain because we all like doing things out of routine. We all feel comfortable doing the same thing over and over again. And of course, um, we could become very comfortable in routine, very comfortable because change sometimes threatens people. Some, and actually, FDR say something that was that was profound during the Great Depression, which is fear itself and fear of the unknown. And sometimes we could be paralyzed out of fear. Now, I'm going to share with you what happened this week. A couple of weeks ago, we were informed that myself and my colleagues will be leaving our work location to go to another work location, which is considerably farther for many of us. And actually, the term that was using was restacking. Basically, what is the situation is that um, they, in their infinite wisdom, if you want to call it that, um, felt it was appropriate that that have more of its personnel in one fixed location. Other can also because the current city, New York, is currently trying to limit the number of buildings that they rent. So, so what transpired is that many people were approved it. Of course, we met friends at our location, and of course, it was a bit uphill. But like it or not, change occur, and sometimes that change can have negative effects. Now, the wise thing is to learn how to adjust. And one thing about the Serenity Prayer, what it does is like we asking God to help us to deal with the things that we cannot control, help us to deal with the things that we can control, and asking God for His discernment to distinguish which is which. Because there's certain things that are truly beyond our control. And complaining about it does what will be the wise solution is to assess, do those things that we are able to do, and not worry about the things that we cannot do. And of course, I just want to serve as a reminder that tonight we have another episode of News uh, regarding several topics. And of course, you, the audience, will have an opportunity to opine. Bear with me. Okay, I just want to, oh, excuse me. Nope, nope. Oh, before I forget, uh, let me just state, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic at hand, they may do so. However, let me make this perfectly clear. If I never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up on the backstage to make sure that no one tries to flash any pornographic images, which would cause the people of YouTube to take down the stream. Once I determine that you're not going to do that, then I will let you on the panel. I know it sounds repetitious. I don't like having to do that all the time, but it's necessary to maintain, to maintain a safe space for people to come to share their views, to make it a safe space for people to have dialogue. So of course I will continue with that disclaimer um, until the day comes when I truly believe it's not necessary. And if you don't like it, well, I'm not compelling you to join the panel. I'm not compelling you to like my content. It's right there. I'll probably be not going to be here that long. Um, maybe another 20 minutes or so, because usually I don't do live this late. It is that I was out earlier tonight at a function regarding the achievements that women have made. And of course, I'll be attending a luncheon tomorrow. Now, one thing I've learned that there's certain activities uh, it is best not to share with your colleagues, because unfortunately, what it does, it stirs up a spirit of jealousy, of envy. Okay, and then they start thinking, why does he get to go and I don't get to go? Okay, so I have learned that when it comes to certain activities, which I am privileged to participate, uh, I will not speak openly on it. Okay, people can get very emotional. People can get entitled. Okay, so let me just check and see. Any watching? Okay, no. And of course, now the midterm elections, and everyone's anticipating the fact that the Democrats will do well in recapturing the House and recapturing the Senate. Okay. Well, that may sound good, but the problem is this. A lot of the times that politicians in both the major parties, they promise stuff and they don't do it. and it could be, and it's very disappointing, and you become easily jaded. You become easily, um, cynical regarding anyone that makes promises. That's why the Bible teaches us, let your yes be yes and your no be no, because anything else comes from the adversary. Now, just step away. I'll be right back. So, okay, I'm back. I just wanted to get something, um, a beverage. Just bear with me. Now, the next thing I'll be talking about, of course, we're entering into Holy Week, which is which is one of the most important weeks for for a believer, which begins on Palm Sunday, where we remember Jesus' entry into Jerusalem, and what it highlights how quickly, um, in a matter of days, people can be shouting his name, saying Hosanna, Hosanna, and things of that nature. That in a few days, those many of those same people will be crying out to have him crucified. Okay. Human beings can be very fickle at times. And what many of the people did not understand is that, the mission of Jesus was not to bring about a political solution and bring back, Judah as it once was. Jesus' mission was to save people of their sins, and he eventually paid the ultimate price, shedding his blood for you and me. And unfortunately, a lot of people never understood the message of his gospel. Not even many Christians today, or many who call themselves Christians, they never understood. Uh, various people have different versions of Christianity. Christianity as an angry God, uh, waiting to inflict pain and punishment on others. While others believe that Christianity is basically Jesus, where every God loves everybody, and that God could never send anyone to hell. Okay, the fact of the matter is, God is full of compassion. Yes, God is full of mercy. He's also a holy God. He's also a righteous God. Okay, and while, He doesn't want anyone to spend eternity away from Him, He will respect our choice. And if we choose to reject God's love, God is going to accept our choices and allow us to receive the consequences. And another issue is people think that Christianity is a list of thou shalt not, things they should not do. Okay. But if you take a look at Christianity, and boil it down to its most simplest terms, it is based on love for God and love for our neighbor. If you love God, you're not going to disobey God. If you love God, you're going to try to live a life that's pleasing in His sight. If you love God, you're going to allow God to lead you and direct your paths. And if you love your neighbor, you're not going to rob from your neighbor. You're not going to kill from your neighbor. You're not going to do anything to your neighbor that you don't want it done to you. So that's what Christianity is in its most most simplest terms. The problem is, unfortunately, we love to complicate things more than what it should be. We love to give um, our own personal spin regarding what Christianity is, and not actually look to what the Bible defines as Christianity. Okay. Okay. My apologies because every now and then I do check and see who's watching on Instagram, because if there's, I want to make sure that they acknowledge. Okay. And sometimes I don't always do that. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about, because I am going to keep this short, is being true to yourself. And what does that mean? Being true to yourself is you don't try to create an image, you don't try to be something that you're not. You just be yourself. Okay. And what happened is we're living in a day when people try to create an image that's completely contrary to what they are. Sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of ignorance, other times just to impress. And it will suit you. It will do you well. Just be yourself. Nobody likes people who are fake. No people. They don't like people who try to create a false image. Because what happens when you keep doing that? People are not going to believe you when you're trying to finally become yourself. And you can't worry about everyone liking you. There's always going to be someone that have an issue with you for whatever reason. And unless you instigated it, um, if there are people who don't like you, they're the ones with the problem, not you. Okay. And sometimes we become so preoccupied being like for everybody. There's always going to be people who will not like you for whatever reason. So my advice: be yourself, and try to be the best version of yourself. Now, with that being said, I am going to wrap this up. Of course, if you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please consider um, subscribing to my channel. Make sure you set the notifications to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. And of course, the playback end, you're more than welcome to add your own comments. Try to keep it respectable, because if not, um, they will be deleted. But in any case, I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. Um, use your time, you know, properly. And of course, I'm going to close the same way that we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of a mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll be affected by the stupidity and less of insanity. And whatever we say and do, we should do for the glory of God. And with that being said, take care, have a blessed weekend, and peace.